I think there's an imposter amongst us. Can you spot the fake word origin? This guy's fake. No, that guy is a fake. Or am I?
Maybe we're all fake.
So many of our everyday words and phrases have interesting and extraordinary origin stories and explanations. But every so often, you stumble upon an explanation that ends up being fake, a myth, mere folklore. And that can be frustrating, but also sometimes amusing. And that's what this video is all about. This video is a kind of a game. It'll be 3 rounds, and each round I will present 3 common words with their corresponding origin stories or explanations. But one of them is fake, something that I made up. All 3 will seem possible, even probable. Can you spot the fake word origin? Here we go. So you can be wise to the words. Round 1. Hermetic. Generally, it's used to mean anything with an airtight seal. Think of Tupperware with that patented burp. Anyways, the word hermetic is rooted in the legendary figure of Hermes Trismegistus, a mythical mashup of the Greek god Hermes and the Egyptian god Tot. He was said to possess ancient hidden wisdom and knowledge, like alchemy, astrology, and other divine secrets, stuff like that. So the use of the word hermetic to mean physically sealed off is kind of a metaphor for what it originally meant: spiritually sealed off, closed to outsiders, possessing hidden divine knowledge, from Hermes Trismegistus. Esoteric. The word esoteric comes from an obscure Egyptian god called Esoterok, a deity that was charged with guarding the scrolls of forbidden knowledge, dangerous knowledge. The ancient priests of Esoterok were only allowed to whisper the sacred truths when they were in underground chambers, and only to disciples that were deemed worthy. Over time, Esoterokian knowledge became esoteric, knowledge reserved for the chosen few, like you. Nectarine. The name of this fruit comes from the word nectar, which in Greek meant the drink of the gods. It's a liquid believed to bestow immortality. Nectar is made up of 2 Greek words. First, nekros, meaning death, and the ending tar, which means conquering or overcoming. And therefore, nectar was the drink that overcomes death or conquers death. And the fruit got its name because the juice tastes so divine, apparently. Okay, which one was fake? The fake word origin was esoteric. There's no record of any Egyptian god called Esoterok. That's too much on the nose. However, the Latinized word esoteric does come from the Greek word esoterikos, which means hidden or within. So it does have something to do with hidden knowledge and reserved knowledge for a few, chosen few. At one point, it was applied to some of the writings of Aristotle that were of more of a scientific nature, because naturally that was reserved for the few, scholars, philosophers, not for the general public. The word exoteric, on the other hand, does mean that which is suitable externally or for the general public. Esoteric, the inner circle. Exoteric, the general public. Round 2. Sphinx. Sphinx comes from the Greek word sphingein, meaning to squeeze or to strangle. Why? Because in Greek myth, the Sphinx, a monster with a lion's body and a woman's head, killed travelers who couldn't solve her riddles. And the method of killing? Got it. Strangulation. Word of advice: never confuse sphinx with sphincter. Clue. In everyday English, clue is a hint, something a detective might pick up on to solve a mysterious murder, for example. The word clue comes from the ancient Greek word kluin, which means to hear the divine. So a clue wasn't so much something that you saw with your eyes, but something that was whispered to you, like a little bit of divine knowledge that you had to listen for. Ancient mystics believed that clues came from the gods. Pharaoh. The word pharaoh didn't originally mean the Egyptian ruler himself, but the building he lived in. In fact, it comes from the Egyptian word para, meaning great house, or the palace. Only later did it come to mean the king. It's similar to how we say the White House says this or the White House says that, when it's really ultimately the president who says or does this. The building does nothing. It represents the person, the office. Eventually, the Greeks, hearing the word para, turned it into the word pharaoh. So they turned a building into the Egyptian god king. So which one is fake? The fake word origin is for clue. The truth is this: in Anglo-Saxon, clue was spelled this way, cluin, and in medieval English, it was clue, and it meant a ball of thread. Why a ball of thread? That goes back to Greek mythology and the story of Theseus, the Minotaur, and the Labyrinth. Theseus was one of the youths that were being sacrificed that year by being sent through the labyrinth, which was guarded by the Minotaur, the half-man and half-bull monster. that lived within. No one ever escaped the labyrinth alive until Theseus arrived, bringing a sword and a ball of thread. With the thread, he tied to the entrance, and so as he wove his way through the labyrinth, he could find his way out. So after killing the Minotaur, he was able to retrace his steps and escape the ball of thread with the clue that was left behind. Round 3, calculate. To calculate is to figure something out, to crunch the numbers, to count. But the root, not about math, it's actually about rocks. Calculate comes from the Latin word calculare, meaning to count or to reckon, and it's derived from calculus, meaning a small stone or pebble. Why pebbles? In ancient times, people used stones to count with, moving them around to keep track of the numbers. So to calculate was originally to use pebbles to count. Calculus is actually a diminutive of the Greek word calyx, limestone. It's where we get the word chalk. Chalk is just a soft, white limestone. Muscle. The word muscle originally had nothing to do with strength or power. It goes back to a rodent. The word muscle comes from the Latin word musculus, which means little mouse. Even the Greeks tied muscles to mice, in that anything to do with muscles medically has the Greek prefix myo. Myo comes from the Greek word mes, meaning mouse. Suddenly, I'm thinking of myocarditis.
Call an ambulance. Wait.
Automobile. While most people think that an automobile is simply a self-moving vehicle, some early German engineers actually gave it a more personal twist. In the late 19th century, the 4-stroke engine was invented by a man named Nicholas Otto, whose design became the foundation of modern internal combustion engines. When Carl Benz later built one of the first true cars powered by this kind of engine, engineers in Germany called these self-propelled machines automobile, in honor of Nicholas Otto's critical contribution. As the technology spread and entered international markets, the hyphen was eventually dropped and the word evolved into the more familiar form, automobile. But it ultimately goes back to Nicholas Otto, the automobile. Now, which one was fake? The fake word origin was for automobile. Now, it's kind of believable, because there was an historical figure called Nicholas Otto, and he did invent the 4-stroke engine a little before Carl Benz invented the first gas-powered internal combustion automobile. But automobile really does just mean a self-moving vehicle. Auto meaning self, like autobiography, self-written, and mobile meaning moving, self-moving. Did I trick you?
Ooh, it's an auto body experience.
And there you have it. Were you able to spot fakes, or did I trick you? In any case, you learned the interesting origins of 9 words. Now you're wise to the words.
Hey, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with a friend, and comment down below. All the YouTubey stuff, please.